Hey YouTube, Magnum here, and today we're taking a look at MMC's Assaultus, which is their take on a masterpiece version of Bruticus. If you're new to my channel, hello and welcome. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. So we've got a torso, 2 legs, 2 arms and an upgrade kit, and we're going to take a look at it all. Okay, here we go. So first up we're going to connect Brawl. If you have the ratchet on Onslaught down at a 90-degree angle like this, there is a slot, a groove and a slot kind of mechanism here, and you're just going to slide it on. It is relatively easy, chunked into place, and then this section here is going to come down and tab onto these 2 tabs on Brawl. You have to kind of maneuver the turret a little bit, but once you get past, it's fine. You can raise that up, and these don't chunk in all the way, but they do go on very securely onto Brawl, and that is that one done. Next we will bring in Swindle. Same thing, if you have this at a 90-degree angle, you need to open the back up of Swindle just a bit to slide this on. Slide it in and rock it forward, and then again there is this 2 tabs and a slot here on Onslaught's knee that you just bring down to connect over there. Close up the back of Swindle, and that is the legs done. Next up we can move on to the shoulder connections. So with these there is a little lever that just lifts up. You can use this to push it up, and that just creates a gap for blast off to be connected in. Make sure you've got this bit down on the figure, and then literally slide it in and close that, and it locks it in place really securely. Same thing for Vortex. Make sure the lever's up, pop it in, close it down, and that is it, secure. Now there are issues on this figure with ratchets and wobbly things and things that are loose, and we will come on to that in the quality section. But in terms of the actual combiner pieces themselves and the way they connect together, it is super efficient, super easy, and nothing is going to come out of place. They are really secure, so it fully works. 10 out of 10. Okay, in terms of quality, I think there are 2 aspects that I want to cover. One is the aesthetics and the look, and then the second is the build. So we'll deal with the aesthetics first. I've said it in many of the videos for the figures that I've reviewed of this set, that I think the way that they've blended the paint and the coloured plastics and achieved that toon-like effect is absolutely sensational. The figure pops, all of the figures pop, the combined figure pops as well. It looks brilliant, absolutely fantastic, and it just shows the effect you can get without covering something head to toe in paint. Obviously you've got the nice silver work here, this is painted, and lots of this stuff here is, but lots of the kind of in-between colours of the figures, particularly on Onslaught and Swindle and Brawl, these are all plastics, and they're done really well. You can't argue with the high quality of the finish and the look in that respect. Really good stuff. In terms of the actual look and the proportions of the bot, he's good, but I think there are a couple of niggles. Particularly for me, I think these are too big. The shoulders, these are just a bit too high for the look, and also the way that it sticks out with the ratchets at the side here. They could have done with being a bit more in and a bit less pronounced at the top, because it does kind of draw attention to the arms in that respect. And then the biggie really on the look of the bot is the peg leg, Swindle. Now I did think this when I did the review of Swindle Frodo at the time, that he did look very narrow and long down there in the leg, and you can see he's a bit of a Slim Jim from the side compared to Brawl. Now what could they have done differently? They could have perhaps made Brawl a little bit thinner, you know, chunked some of this in for the leg mode. That would have probably detracted from the bot and the tank in some way. You know, something would have had to have given in compromise. So I think it's fine, it works just, but it does look a little bit peg-leggy, there is no doubt about that. So looks wise, overall is very good. A couple of niggles there in proportions. On a personal note, I think he looks fantastic, and I think the compromises are worth it. in that respect. But from a kind of critical point, those are the niggles. Now then, on to build. This is the biggie. There's been lots of discussion about the shoulder ratchets. Obviously, there's a replacement for Volutus, but not one for Vortex. Now, a big issue, you know, he can't hold a sort of pose. He can do about a 90 degree, it will stick there, but if it's anything in between, it's just going to fall down. It's a little bit less so on Vortex, but it does fall down as well. So that is an issue. Now, the biggie for me, though, is the knees. This is where replacement ratchets, if anything, should have been sent out, because these things are just not good enough. If I pick the figure up like this, you can see Brawl is just too heavy for that knee ratchet. Swindle is okay, actually, he's not too bad. But what it means is, with the slightest push, this figure has got a real risk of falling backwards. Really not good enough for a big combiner, a big heavy thing like this. I think the hips are a little bit suspect as well. They're not as bad as the knees, but they're not particularly great. Now, one thing to know, I've seen on a few photos where people have these extended downwards, and that will create a lot of instability. You need to make sure that this part on Onslaught, this upper thigh, is shoved fully up, because it does make it a lot more stable. It's still not perfect, but it is better. The biggie though is the knees. So overall on quality, the looks wise I think are good, apart from a couple of niggles and proportional things, you know, personal choice on preference, etc. But the real issue is the quality of the build, which is very, very poor in one very critical place, and it's a shame because everything else is so fantastic. So final score on quality, 5 out of 10. So the head is on a swivel and a hinge. It will look up, but it won't really look down. It's also got a light mechanism, which I've just activated. We'll turn the light off so we can see that. That is awesome. I love that. Brilliant. But back onto poseability. So the shoulders are on universals. They will extend quite far out to the side, which is very good, and will obviously, in theory, swivel all the way around. They won't hold much in between, as we've noted in the quality section, due to the weakness of the ratchet, though. So, but it is in theory there. The biceps have got a swivel and a more than 90 degree elbow, which is very good. The hands will turn out to about here for palms out, just due to the way that these things combine. The hands are actually split in half, so they won't turn much further than that. They will turn fully this way though. The fingers are all individually articulated, as is the thumb, multiple points as well, so that's really good on the hands. The waist has a swivel, which is very good, and it has a really good ab crunch, really good stuff. You've got individual hip skirts and also kind of flaps at the back here, which just help with leg movement as well. Now, the legs will extend fully out to the front just, and fully out to the back just as well. You have to kind of maneuver the thigh swivel a little bit. They will extend out to the side, but not really, you know, it's more of a kind of hang up from the transformation that they can do that really. You can activate it, but it's not particularly practical, mainly actually due to the strength of the ratchets, but we've kind of discussed that in the quality section. Down at the knees, they've got a 90 degree bend both sides, that's very good. And down at the feet, they've got a decent ankle rocker, as much as you probably need for a big bot like this, and also they've got a toe tilt as well, back and forth. So pretty good all around on poseability. The stuff is all there for such a big guy with so many components. I think it's very good. Obviously there's an issue in execution, but that's more of a quality issue and a build issue than an actual poseability one. So poseability, 8 out of 10. So in terms of scale, here he is with Op Leader and MP36, and you can see he's not quite there in terms of full masterpiece size. If you go by the Sunbow chart, which is as good a guide as any, then both of these characters should come up to somewhere around the knee of Bruticus, and in fact they're nearly up to his hip. So he's not quite up there. He is big and he is imposing, definitely, but he's not a full masterpiece scale. So final score, 6 out of 10. So with that being said, and the official kind of score out the way, on a personal basis, I think he looks fantastic with legend scale figures. So here he is with New Age Starscream and Magic Square Megatron, recreating sort of the Starscream's Brigade episode where he scoops up Megatron like a rag doll. I think this looks fantastic. In terms of size comparisons, here he is next to Zeta Toys Superion, and you can see he's dwarfed by him in every aspect. And if we do another shot, this time with the silver boots on, the upgrade shoes, nice shiny silver boots, you can see he's still shorter obviously, but it does give him a bit more of a presence in the height respect. It just adds a little bit, doesn't it? So in terms of accessories, I'm classing the upgrade set as the accessories for this figure. We do get the blaster that comes with Incursus, but as I said at the time, I think this is too small for Bruticus's gun. So the upgrade set kind of recreates the toy look for Bruticus, and we get a nice big chunky shiny blaster with lots of detail and nice paint. Everything's really nicely painted actually. We get a replacement chest piece and the accompanying wings that complement this, and we also get the toy version of the head. So let's pop this stuff on and see what it looks like. So here he is with the armor on, and oh my god, does this add something. He just looks so much more intimidating and imposing with the silver chest plate and the helmet and the shoes on. Looks absolutely fantastic. And strangely, I think this somehow makes the proportions work better. It just draws everything in, that silver chest plate. I don't know why it works, but it just seems to. Now don't get me wrong, I love the toon look. I think that's brilliant what they did with that, but I think this just works a lot better. The stuff is relatively easy to do. You kind of slide the old chest piece off and then you can slide this one on. You've got a couple of little screws to attach these wing bits on, but they're really accessible. And the helmet is just a simple kind of detached kind of thing and slide the new one on. The shoes are also straightforward. They're a bit tight in the box. You have to kind of unfold them. But once you do, again, they're very easy. So very practical stuff and it looks awesome. Now in terms of the blaster, it does look good and it tabs in a normal masterpiece fashion, but it's not very secure. You do actually have to grip the articulated fingers around it to make it sit properly in there. If these are loose, then it will just be wobbly. Final score on accessories, 9 out of 10. So there we have it. Adding it all together, he gets a final score of 7.6 out of 10. And this thing looks absolutely fantastic, both with the accessory pack and without. I think the quality of the finish of the overall product is really, really high, and it is superb. You've got great poseability in theory, and you've got really sturdy combiner ports. So it ticks quite a few of the boxes. Where it fails, obviously, is in the execution, because the build in one or two crucial places is not up to scratch. In particular the knees, it just isn't good enough. He stands fine, totally, and you can get an A stance and a couple of other things, but he's far too easy to fall backwards at the knee, and that is a real kind of drawback on this figure. In terms of overall look, there are some subjective points with proportions. People might prefer this or prefer that. That's a kind of subjective thing. Scale-wise, he's not up there masterpiece in terms of the masterpiece lineup. He is a little bit short, definitely. But I think in summary, in terms of appeal, this is going to fall into two camps. If you're after something that is a masterpiece scale statue, then this is probably not for you. If you're after something that is brilliant in terms of fun, playability, engineering, and you've got 5 easily accessible masterpiece scale Combaticons that you can kind of muck around with and then recombine very quickly, then yes, this is a brilliant set, apart from the issue with the knee. So that's my kind of summary, and on a personal level, I absolutely love it. I've tried to be really kind of critical about the points and the flaws in this figure, and you know, I've kind of given it as I've seen it. On a personal level though, I think it's fantastic, and for me, hats off to them for the engineering, because it is incredible what they've done. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the review. Thanks for watching. Take care, please subscribe, and bye for now.